we are live. Lovely. Wait for a few people to join and then we'll make a start. Okay. I can see a few people are hopping on. Morning everyone. Welcome to my well-suited masterclass for, believe it or not, April. I know we're at the 1st of May, but that's how my card classes work. I'm going to make 4 cards for you this morning using some of the well-suited products. So if you've joined this class, you should have a kit, you should have all your little packages, and you should have an email with your instructions in. If you haven't got that, please let me know. No one's let me know they haven't got that, so that's a good sign. You don't have to make the cards with me at the moment. You can watch all of this and then you can make them at your leisure. You can not watch this live and you can watch it back at your convenience. It's entirely up to you how you choose to take part. So this class makes 8 cards and I've filmed 4 pre-recorded videos, so all of that information is in your email. And 4 cards we're going to make live this morning, so I hope you like them. I've really enjoyed making these card designs for you, and I've tried to really get the most out of the well-suited products so that you really get a feel for what it's all about and how much you can actually create with them, and the variety, and the list is endless. So yeah, a huge fan of this suite of products, and the dies just really do it for me. So I hope you enjoy. We'll make a start. I'm going to turn my camera around. I'll show you the card designs first and then we will get crafting. So I hope you're sitting comfortably. Bear with me, I'm full of cold. It's not COVID. I've got a really nasty cold, so you have to bear with me, but I've got lots of water and I've had my breakfast, so let's get started. Okay, so like I said, this class makes 8 cards. The 4 cards that are already pre-recorded look like this. So I'm using the suit and tie dies for this card, and I think when we think about suits and ties, this is very typical of what we envisage. So I've created a really nice dinner suit card, and it's a tent fold, so it opens nicely and you've got a nice little bit of detail inside, and that's just using black and white cardstock. I've created something a little bit retro. This just makes me think of the 80s and kind of Wham and all of that really. A lovely white t-shirt with a suit jacket over the top. Nothing wrong with that, is there? So I've created this with the designer series paper, the lovely pinstripe piece. I've used a cute little technique with the tag just to create that little handkerchief in the pocket, and then we've got a bit more detail inside. So that's one of the pre-recorded videos. Gone for something slightly different with this one, just keeping the designer series paper as the focus, and I've used a really simple masking technique with the stamp set. So you'll see here the sentiment actually says have a happy Father's Day, handsome. Well, mine says have a happy Father's Day, you're the best. So afterwards you can navigate over to my YouTube channel and see how I did that, but really clever, simple bit of masking with my favourite friend, some washi tape. Okay, so we have that one. This one here, I wanted to show that you don't have to create a whole card with the products. You can create just a small feature, and I've created just a really simple square feature at the top of this card with the lovely check paper, and then I've brought in some of the baker's twine that's in this suite as well. Okay, so the 4 cards that I'm going to be demonstrating this morning with you all look a little bit like this. So the first one I'm going to make looks like this. I've used the red designer series paper with the little check, with the little diamond pattern, and I've created some braces with the dies. Really handy. I love that effect. It just makes me think of kind of just fun and really quirky, so I like that one. For the next card I've used the ties mainly with the designer series paper to create this effect, and there's lots of layering on this card, which is always really nice. It makes it feel really special, I think, and really quite high quality. The next card we have was cased from my dear friend Cara. She's a very clever demonstrator, and I thought you wouldn't mind, and we've created a little pull out card with this one. So we're going to create a little folder for our little suit jacket, and then we've got this lovely pull out piece which is just really cute, and I like interactive cards. They're always quite nice, and that's just with some smoky slate cardstock. And again, I'm going to show a really simple technique with the sentiment. And then last but not least, we have this one. So this probably is my least favourite paper in the suite, but I had to use it. because I do think it's really lovely. And this is just a simple easel card, okay, which these cards look absolutely brilliant with. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to start them in the order that I've put them in my email for, so as not to confuse my lovely card class group. So with my card class, I've had to do this one slightly different because of the large amount of die cutting. And yes, I did have a helper for the die cutting. I needed it for this class. I sent out a large number of kits. So yeah, as you can see, each card, there's a lot of die cutting that's gone into that. So for this card, we just need to cut a piece of the designer series paper before we do anything else. In most of the kits, everything has been pre-cut and pre-scored and die cut for you, obviously, because people may not have the dies at home. But when it comes to the large pieces of designer series paper, you're going to need to cut those yourself, because everyone got 6 by 12 inch sheets, and I wouldn't have had enough to put extra in. So I'm going to start by cutting this piece of designer series paper, which measures 10 centimetres by 14.4, and actually we need two pieces. We need one for the centre and we need one for outside. The best way to cut this designer series paper is to lay it in your trimmer with the long edge across the top, and then to cut two strips that are 10 centimetres wide. Okay, so we've got one and we've got two. So you're then left over with this lovely piece to save for later, and then we're just going to turn it and line it at 14.4 centimetres and cut. So all of these measurements are in your instructions that you've been emailed if you've got the kits, so don't worry. Morning to you, Jane. Morning, Sharon. I can see a few people are starting to comment, which is always lovely. Okay, so let's put that to one side. Now let's open up this little pack. So everyone's got a little pack for each card. It just made it simpler, and it made my life easier with getting everything ready. So try not to lose the buttons. I've tried to put, if not the right number of buttons, but possibly a few more if in the kit. So you've got a lovely tent fold card base, and it's cut from the A4 thick basic white card, which is a great option for your card bases. It's just that little bit thicker than the normal basic white. So quite simply, we're going to add our designer series paper to our card front. So it leaves a nice little border. Okay. And then we can start by building our card. So you have two strips of Night of Navy cardstock that are effectively your braces. Now they should be 1 centimetre by 14.4. If they're a little bit too long, don't worry too much, you can just trim that off. Okay. We're going to line this up, and I line mine up so they're roughly about 1 centimetre from the end away from your card. Okay, and then this one. Morning to you, Joanna. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, just going to put that on there like so. And I do love the colours of this card. It's very different for me. It's very bright. But I think it's really lovely. Okay, so we've got our lovely braces there. Now, I always find the best way to start with these cards is to put the collar on first. And a little tip with these products is to try and use dimensionals or glue dots when you attach certain things, so that you get a really nice dimension. If you stick everything on super flat, you don't get that lovely layering look, which I think is really, really special with these products. So let's add some dimensionals to my collar. Like so. And then just try and get that kind of in the centre of those braces if you can. There we have it. So just by adding it with dimensionals just gives it that little bit of depth, and I think that's really nice with these cards. Okay, we're going to do the same with the I don't know what you call this piece actually, just the edge of the shirt where you do it all up. I can't think of what it's called. Morning, Sophie. Lots of lovely, lovely people on today. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so I am going to put this on the back of my piece here. And this piece is really handy actually for these little strips. So I'm just going to pop that in underneath my collar and then just bring that down my card, okay, and then just snip it off at the bottom. If you wanted to cut that down and be a little bit more precise, the measurement for you, I haven't got the measurement, but you could work that out. We have here the little bottom of our braces, okay, and we're going to put those on. Now on this card I've stuck them down flat and I think it looks okay, but for the purpose of this card that we're making, I am going to put them on with dimensionals. Morning to you, Alison. Hope you're having a lovely Saturday so far, everyone. Just going to pop those on, and these remind me, I don't know about anyone else, but they remind me of like Coke can pulls. Anyone else see that? I do. You must all think I'm mad. Okay, so we just put those on, so you can see it's all starting to come together quite nicely. Now with the buttons, I find the most useful thing to use with the buttons is the take your pick tool, because what that does is that will pick your buttons up quite nicely. And I tend to find I get covered in less glue by doing it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put teeny tiny little dots of my wet glue at kind of equal intervals down that middle strip. Okay, and it's up to you how many you do. I think I've given you 5 buttons, so it depends how many you want to do. And then I'm just adding those buttons on top of those glue dots in the centre of that strip. Okay, so the take your pick tool has got this lovely putty on the end, which just makes it super easy for picking things like this up, or sequins, or any sort of little pieces that you're using. And it comes with all these lovely attachments as well, so it's a very, very handy tool. Okay, so there we have the kind of the shirt and braces all done. And then what you're going to need to do, you've got this piece of basic white card that is just going to go onto the top of your piece that we've cut for the centre. Okay. Love the colours of this card. I do as well. I think, you know, back in the day, someone would have said, "Oh, you don't put red and blue together." There was that little saying, wasn't there? But actually, I think it looks really lovely. I think in the right situation, it's great. So there we have that. Now, for our sentiment, you just need a little strip of basic white card. You have white card in your kits, and you should have enough for everything you need. But for a sentiment like this, you just need a little piece of scrap. So I'm using the You're the Best sentiment. Okay. And we're going to just stamp that with Memento ink. Okay. You could use navy ink as well. Navy would look really lovely. I'm going to stamp that onto my card. And one of the things I love about this stamp set actually is that the sentiments are all so useful. They're quite adaptable if you need them to be, and the font is just very, very normal. I like a normal font every now and again. So we're just trimming that down into a little banner, and then that's going to be on our card like so. Okay, so I'm just going to cut down a couple of dimensionals for this. And then I'm going to pop that on my card like so. Okay. And then inside the card, all I've done is I've stamped a happy birthday to you, which again comes from the Handsomely Suited stamp set. So I've only used sentiments from this stamp set today. I haven't used any other stamps. And then inside we've got a happy birthday to you. You don't have to add this. You might not want to use it for a happy birthday card. A lot of people will leave their cards completely blank and then add the sentiments when they think, oh, I'd like to send that card to that person for this occasion. So that's a really great idea. So there we have our first card in this live video. If you're following the kit, this is card number 5. Okay, so really like that one. Pop that to one side. Have a little clear down. So card number 2 looks like this, and this is so super quick to put together, this card. I've already gone ahead and cut everything that you need for you, apart from this piece of designer series paper here, which we will cut in a moment. So let's take that out. So the piece of designer series paper that you need to cut is actually the reverse of this, which is quite handy. So you need to cut this piece down so that it measures 9.2 centimetres by 13.6. So we're going to go 9.1, 9.2 by 13.6. And of course, if you didn't want to use this designer series paper and you wanted to just use white card, that would look lovely. And then you've got this piece to save for another card or for something else. Okay. So we have our card base. Again, this one is basic white and it's been cut from the thick cardstock. Okay. Now we should have 2 pieces of navy. We should have 2 pieces of real red. We should have a piece of basic white that is the same size as our DSP, and then we have our DSP. So it's quite literally a matter of layering with this card. So we're going to start by adding our real red card as our first layer. Like so. And then you'll notice on this card that the twine has been tied around those top 2 layers. So for the moment we're going to put our card to one side and we're just going to focus on these 2 layers here. So we're going to start by adding our DSP to the navy blue layer. And that gives us a really sweet little border. I didn't want to have too many, didn't want the borders to be too big, so that's why I've gone for quite a small border. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to take your piece of Night of Navy twine as part of the combo pack. Yours is already pre-cut, and I'm just going to wrap this around my card twice. Okay, like so, and I am going to tie it in a bow kind of straight away. I'm going to put the bow over here on the right hand side of the card as you look at it. Like so. And then I'm going to leave the tails like that before I then add that to my card, okay? So I'm going to add that to my card with some dimensionals. And I think this is the trick when you're doing layering, is to kind of mix and match how you attach your layers so that you get a really nice texture in them. There we go. So then we can now attach this to our card front like so. So that's coming together quite nicely. Now we have our 3 little ties, 1, 2, 3, and it's entirely up to you what way you use these ties. I've stuck with the red and blue theme, so I've tried to give you the red and blue for each of your patterns, each of your colours to match your layers, but actually you could use them anyway, but I am going to stick with what I have done on that card. So I'm going to put dimensionals on the bottom. And I'm not going to put a dimensional up there, because what I've actually done is I've done it so that the ties are laying flat down at the top, but then they're just raised at the bottom. And it's another technique that you can use for putting your cards together. Okay, and I'm going to start by popping on the centre tie. Okay, and you want your ties to fall below your ribbon. Or your twine, sorry. I've just dipped my knuckle in that bit of glue, great. And then again, we'll go with this one. And the great thing about this DSP is you can use it to line up where you're putting things, which is always very, very helpful, isn't it? And then the last one we're going to put on over here. Okay. And there we have our ties. Okay, it's coming together quite nicely, that one. You also have in your kit this little label which I've punched out. I can't remember what the punch is called now. So let's just stamp a happy birthday onto it. But again, you could by all means leave it blank and then add your sentiment for a later date. And then this we're just going to pop down there. So I'm going to put a little bit of wet glue just across it. And then there we have that finished card front. And then for the centre, I think I've left the centre blank, but we just need to put those layers together. Okay, so we'll put the blue onto the red. Love this card, thank you, Joanna. I've seen that you've I saw something the other day that you did that was really, really lovely. I can't think of what it was now. I know I did see it and think, oh, that's really nice, I must mention it when you pop up next. Right, so there we have our layers that we can just tuck into. Oh, how funny is this? Here we go. How does my card open, everyone? Oh dear, that just goes to show that I make silly mistakes too, but never mind, it's all part of the fun. Now, happy Saturday, everyone. Okay, so let's pop that down. What I will try and do is I will try and get that dimensional out. I think I'll be able to peel it off actually. Yeah, so this is another good thing about using dimensionals, because if you notice early enough, you can actually separate them. There we are. Phew. Oops, yes, oops indeed. There you are. I am normal. There you go. So there is card number 2, or if you're following the videos in the links, this is card number 6. Okay. So for card number 3 for this video, or 7 if you're following, we have this design, and I think this is absolutely fabulous. I really love this design. I actually cased this from a lady on my team called Cara, who made it for one of her classes, so thank you very much, Cara. And I think it's really sweet. I love anything interactive, and I think with these cards you really can make them interactive. So let's get started. So for this card, all you have in your little packs is the die cut pieces. We're going to need to make this card from scratch. So for the time being, I'm going to put that in there. Okay, and you're going to need a piece of smoky slate A4 card, okay, which is in your kit. And we need just one strip of this, and the strip needs to measure 14.9 by 22. So the way to do this is to put it in your trimmer so that you've got the short edge at the top, and you're going to line it up at 14.9 centimetres, and you're going to cut. Okay, you then have this little strip left over, which we'll put to one side, and then we're going to turn this round. I'm going to cut it down to 22 centimetres. So you're then left with this piece, which I think is the piece that I cut the lapels from, possibly not. So we now need to do a little bit of scoring. So if you've got one of these trimmers, you just need to use your lighter scoring blade, and we're going to do 2 score lines. Very simple. We're going to score one at 10.5 centimetres, and we're going to score one at 21 centimetres. I can't line it up, my hands are moving. Here we go. So we now have the basis of our card. Okay, so we're not going to stick this down as of yet, because we're going to make the card front before we stick it together, and there's a reason for that. So you'll notice that actually this is how we make it. So we're just going to tuck it round, and this is our little flap that we use to stick it together. But you've got the V cut out of your card, haven't you? So this is where we need to not put it together before we make it. Now I have actually done so that the assembly part is down this side, so you can't see it. So what we need to do is we need to turn it round, and so with the little flap at the end, this is the piece that we're going to be working on. Okay, and then we need some pieces out of here. So if you have the dies, which I know some of you do, and some of you order them with your kit, you could now use that V die to cut out your aperture. But if you don't have the dies, this is what you need to do. Okay. So we're going to pop this on here like so, and we're going to stick that down. You can either stick it down, or you can, and this is probably the way I would recommend doing it, turn it over so the flap is now down the right hand side, lay this on where you want it to go, and then with a pencil you're going to just lightly draw that V. Okay, just hold on to it so it doesn't move, like so. And then with your scissors you're just going to cut down that line. So this is what you're going to do if you don't have the dies. Like so. So there you now have your V cut into your card. Okay. So now you can go ahead and you can assemble that if you wanted to, and I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to use some tear and tape for this, or double-sided, and I'm going to put some tear and tape down here. Great fun fold card, love this idea. Thank you, Joanna. You're all very kind to me, ladies, even when I make boo-boos. Okay, so you're going to put a piece along there, but also the bottom of the card is obviously stuck down, because otherwise our pull-out piece would go all the way through. So now you're going to take your tear tape and you're going to put, sorry, not yet. You're going to take your the backing off. No, you're not. Sorry. You're going to fold your flap over, that's it, and then you're going to tuck the tear tape in next to it, because you don't really want to stick that flap down to that piece there. Okay, so now you can take your pieces off like so. So I'm just unplugging my charger because my phone has just said it's getting hot. Okay, so we've got our tear tape off, and now what we can do is we just pull it over and we press it down. Okay, so your card is now stuck at the bottom and it's stuck along the sides. Okay, so now we can just add our pieces as we need. Right, so for this I'm going to use, of course, some dimensionals, and if you have them, mini dimensionals are great for using on this lapel piece. Okay, so I'm just pulling them, the backs all off, and then we're going to line up the bottom piece, so this bottom little area, and then you're going to line up that lovely edge that we've cut with the edge of the lapel. And there we have it. So that is our little pocket with our jacket. So the other pieces you need from your little packet are, you need the little tie. Okay. You need, I'm going to cut all of these out actually. So this piece here you're going to need, and you're going to stick that down with dimensionals. You're going to be sick of me saying the word dimensional soon, but I'm actually going to overlap it. Okay, so I'm putting one dimensional on like this, and I'm going to stick that down like so. So you're probably thinking, what is she doing? Why can we see that dimensional? The reason for that is we need to stick on the little tissue, which actually, or the handkerchief, sorry, which actually is the bottom part of the pocket. So that is the pocket die, and I've just flipped it round and cut it down slightly. Okay, so I'm just trimming that off. And then I do like to trim off just a little bit of the edge to make it just a teeny bit smaller. And then there you have that lovely dimensional already on for you to put that on. Now actually, if you think that's a little bit too big, which it is quite a bit bigger than that piece, you can just carefully remove it and just cut it down. And that looks a lot better. There you have it. So it's less messy with just putting that one-dimensional one, and then they're both raised. So for our sentiment, I have used this one. It says World's Greatest Dad, but the actual sentiment comes as to one of the world's greatest dads. So we're going to take that out and stamp it down. And again, I've got my little bit of scrap white for this. Give it a little stamp. And then quite literally, we're just going to cut it into word strips. So I'm going to cut down. So these sentiments really are great for adapting and using as you want. Okay. Or you could keep that whole, of course, and use it in its original. Oh no, it's fallen on the floor. I'm just going to stamp it again. Okay, so we've got world, we've got greatest, and we have dad. And also, I just want to say dad, so I'm just going to cut off that S. So they really are a lot of fun. And then we want world. Okay, and then what we can do is we're just going to add this to our card front. Very simply. Oops. Greatest. Oh, that's on a little bit wonky. And then dad. Like so. So quite fiddly, those sentiments. So there we have our little pocket decorated, and then we just need to make our little pull out piece. Okay, so we're going to need a piece of white card that measures 9 centimeters by 13.4. So I'm going to cut a little strip that is 9 centimeters by 13.4. And then we have our bits and pieces that we need to add. So you have your collar. Now to add the collar, pop this in there like so, because you want to obviously put the collar in the centre, don't you? Just grabbing some dimensionals, running out. Okay. So I'm going to put a little dimensional on the collar. And then that is going to go about there. Okay, so that's on in the centre. We can now take that out and then we can start putting everything else in. So we've got our little tie, which is going to go, of course it's going to be raised, and that's going in there. Oops. Like so. Okay, and then we have the pocket to put on, and I'm putting the pocket on flat because you don't want too much going on inside that's raised. Okay, and then we have our sentiment, which is just "You're the best." So we're bringing that sentiment back again. And that's going to go just at the bottom like that. So then we can put that inside, and then there we have our finished interactive pull-out card, which I think is really, really fun. Love that design. Thank you so much, Cara, for your inspiration. So let's put that one back, and then we're on to our final card, and this is an easel card design. Okay, so I'm just going to have a little tidy down. Can't believe it's going so quickly. Right, so for the easel card, it folds completely flat, okay, but we're going to need to do a little bit of cutting before we do anything else. So let's just grab the measurements that I need. So you're going to need a piece of basic black card that is in your kit. You've got a whole sheet, and we're pretty much going to use that whole sheet. So to start with, we're going to cut the card base, and the card base is going to measure 10.5 centimetres by the length of the A4. So we're going to pop it in our trimmer and line it up with the short edge at the top and line it up at 10.5 centimetres. Okay, and cut. We're then going to turn and we're going to do 2 score lines. We're going to score at 7.5 centimetres. If you're using our trimmer, it's the light one. 7.5 and then 14.9. Okay, so 14.9 is your halfway measurement, and the 7.5 is as near as damn it to the other halfway. So the idea is you fold both of those, and that becomes the basis of your easel card. So I've seen a lot of people saying, I want to make one of those standy-uppy cards, but don't know how to start, and it looks really complicated. It really, really isn't. Okay, so we know that that measurement there is 10.5, so we need to cut a piece that will fit on top of that, because when you fold this down, it folds down completely flat. So we need to cut one piece that is 10.5 centimetres, which is exactly half the width of that piece, by 14.9. Okay, right, so put this piece to one side, and then this becomes our piece for the top. Okay, while we've got the scorer out, let's just cut the other pieces that we need. So we need a piece of the designer series paper, and that's just 0.5 centimetre smaller, so we need to cut it down to 10. And the easiest way to cut this is with the long edge at the top, cut it at 10, and then turn and cut it down to 14.4. Now, this is the clever bit. The piece on the inside is the piece that comes off the bottom of that piece of designer series paper, okay? And then we need a piece of basic white that is exactly the same, so 14.4 centimetres by 10 centimetres, okay? So you now should have 4 pieces. You should have a piece of white, a piece of DSP, and your little strip. So you can put your trimmer to one side. So now we can start to assemble our card. Okay, so let's work on this front piece. So put the card base to one side for the moment, and we can stick this piece down straight away. This is one of my favourite style of fancy files, and I think it works really nicely with these products. Okay, so we've stuck on our designer series paper, and then we're going to stick on our collar, and you're going to stick the collar on so it lines up with the top of the DSP and not the top of the card. Okay. And then you're going to try and get this in the centre. Now, an easy way to get this into the centre is to just fold your card round and make a little kind of score mark at the top, okay? And then you line up that score mark with this centre point of your collar, okay? I've gone against what I've said and lined it up with the top of the card as opposed to the top of the DSP. So let's just take that down. That's better. Okay. So because we're creating a t-shirt, I think what's really nice is to cut out that little centre piece. Okay. So I'm now going to take my scissors and just cut into that point. Like so. Okay. And then just trim that bit off. So, okay. We're then going to attach this piece to our card. So I'm going to let's just score this properly first. So use your bone folder to make sure those score lines are nice and crisp. That way it will stand up really nicely. So I'm going to put wet glue along that fold line, and I'm going to put wet glue along the bottom of my card. And then I'm going to line the bottom of my card up with this piece and then stick it down. Some people choose to use double-sided for this, but if you're using something that's quite strong like a tombow, you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so that already that's starting to stand quite nicely. We just have a few little pieces to add in to our card. So we've got our pocket, which I am going to put on raised. Like so. And actually the way that things have been cut, they should have been cut so that you can carry that pattern along. Let's just pull that up a bit. I'm going to put that up just one extra, like so. And then for the area where you put your buttons, you're going to cut that down so that it's roughly kind of 4 centimetres. Okay, so just chop that off and then just put that on. You can have that as long or as short as you want it to be. Okay. And then this is going to go down also with dimensionals. Use a lot of dimensionals on this card, and then we just slot that underneath and then we stick that down. Okay, you've got some buttons in your little pack. I think you've got 2 or 3 buttons and they should be in navy card. Try and get those out. There they are. And again, just put these on with a little bit of wet glue, or if you wanted to, you could use mini glue dots. I'm going to use my little trusty pick tool to pick those up. They have got a little bit of embossed detail on them, which is a nice touch. Okay, and then we've got our sentiment that goes across again, and again it's that lovely "You're the best." Okay, so let's stamp that down. And we're going to cut that into a little strip banner. I'm just going to angle the ends like so, and then that is going to go on the front. There we have the front done. All we've got left to do now is the centre. So we're going to stick in this piece of basic white to start. Okay, so lift up your card, and we've stuck the card on the right way round this time. Thank goodness. And then we've got this little piece to think about. Okay, so you've got a little little punch piece, and we're going to use the happy birthday to you. Really wonky. I can't get that off now. Don't look, don't look, don't look. Okay, you didn't see that at all, did you? No. Let's stamp our happy birthday to you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stick this down. But before you stick it down, you're going to work out where naturally that card kind of sits. Okay, so it depends on how crispy you've got your score line in the back, and you want to make sure you've got a really nice easel kind of bit in there. So you're going to put this down flat, so you can stick this down with some wet glue. Okay, and I'm going to stick it down about there. Okay, so that's not the piece that's going to stop that from moving. This is the piece that's going to stop it. So this is the piece we're going to stick down with some pads. And you're going to stick that down just so that it overlaps that little piece of DSP, and then it stands up really, really nicely. Okay, and that, my friends, is our finished card of this session. I do hope you've enjoyed putting the cards together, or watching me, or watching before you put the cards together, or whatever really. I do hope you've enjoyed it. So that's it from me today. I do hope you have a lovely, lovely weekend. I'll make sure that this video is sent out to everyone who's got kits straight away after today. If you've got any questions about anything that we've done, any of the kits, any of the cards, please do let me know. I am in the process of advertising my next class, and I'll give you a little sneaky peek because I'm nice like that. My next card class will go live probably later on today, and you have 7 days to book it. There are 5 different options for this card class. We'll make 5 cards if you get the mini class, or you will get 10 cards if you get the main class. And I've used the new in colours, which not a lot of people have seen these yet, to make cards with the in bloom products, which are absolutely stunning. I can't tell you how nice these dies are until you start working with them. There will be options to add in product and save money on the kits, but please do let me know if you'd like to take part in that. Or form a similar format to today's class. Some videos will be pre-recorded, and some videos there'll be a live session for you to follow along with as well. So information will be up on my website later on today for you to book that. Booking closes on the 7th of May, and kits will be sent out to you towards the end of May. I hope you all have a really fabulous weekend. The sun is shining here, but it's freezing. My parents are away in their caravan this weekend, so we're off to spend some time with them outdoors. And I can't wait. It'll be so nice to sit and drink a cup of tea in the cold at the caravan watching the kids play. So that's it from me. I'll be live on Monday morning at 10 AM. I do normally do a Sunday live. It will be happening, but slightly earlier at 7:30 tomorrow night. And then don't forget, this week I have my Stampin' Natter Zoom session on Tuesday night, and there'll be more information about that in the next few days, but all are welcome, and it's a free event to join. So that's it from me. Have a great weekend, guys, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.